Hey, everybody, Bobby Medina here with my good buddy Paul Barron from Trumpet Diagnostics. Glad to be here with you. And we thought we would have a different kind of an interview this time. We have our dear friend Filippo with us, and we've heard a lot of concerns about not getting enough gigs and stuff over the holidays, and people kind of complaining about that and wondering how to do that, how to take action. And so we decided we'd take action and bring Filippo on here to talk a little bit about what he does, because he's traveling all over the world playing some really, really cool things. Over the years, he's been honing his guitar skills, and he's learned how to effectively deal with the business side of the live music industry, becoming a performer and a band leader, how to promote his work, gaining online visibility, getting paid big money to play big stages. And in addition to more than 2 decades of teaching experience, Filippo has started the Master Accelerator program as a means to replicate his tried and tested process with students. And since then, he's helped thousands of musicians worldwide become professionals, promote their work, and get paid to play. So welcome to our humble little interview here with you,
Thank
Filippo.
you.
It's great to see you. You're over in Spain, right? Right now.
Yes, I live in Spain.
All right, cool. And I'm over in the Seattle, Washington area. And Paul, you just traveled somewhere. You're out with Disney again, right? On the East
Yes,
Coast.
I'm on the East Coast of United States in North Carolina right now,
Okay,
with a
cool.
big train going past us right now, the Amtrak. There you go. Woo woo. Well, thanks for being with us, Filippo. And
Oh, my pleasure.
your workshop, from what we've heard, talking with you, sounds really amazing and very intriguing. And just share a little bit with our audience what it's about, and maybe what are the number one questions that you get about your workshop.
Yeah, so I've been running these workshops for a few years now to basically teach musicians how to get more gigs. So obviously we have a system that we teach, and I say we because it became over the years a bigger team. We have a system that we teach, and with great success. We have a lot of success stories, and it's been working super well. And definitely the number one question that we get is, does it work in my country? We obviously have people from all over the place, and I'm in Spain. I grew up in Italy, became an adult in the UK, but I get a lot of students from the US and Canada, and so that's one of the main questions. So, long story short, the short answer is yes, it will work if you are either from the States or Canada or the UK or Australia or New Zealand, meaning economies that are strong economies with a culture in live music, right? So I hope that answers your question shortly.
It does,
So
yeah.
So I have to say something here, Filippo. I've had a talent agency for over 30 years, and I've had different groups of my own that I've booked, and I've booked all sorts of different types of entertainment for all types of events. And I'm always looking to kind of gain that extra little edge over our competition and to learn more things, because obviously I don't know everything in the world about it. But having been studying your course, if I were to create a course, it's very much along the lines of what I would do. It is very well thought out, and I can tell by your success traveling all over the world and playing, and by the success of your students, that it works.
Well, that's how it happened. I had a guitar community. I suppose a little bit like you have your trumpet community of trumpet players. And so I had a guitar community teaching gypsy jazz guitar, the guitar in the style of Django Reinhardt. And that's what I was doing. And then slowly the community got bigger and bigger, and students started asking me, how do you get so many gigs? And so I started taking some students on a one-on-one basis. And I saw them getting similar results to the ones that I was getting, and so started getting more and more traction with this. and more people wanting coaching and less time on my end. So I figured let's do another community for musicians who want gigs. That's basically how it happened.
Yeah, and let's say this right now. It doesn't matter what instrument you play. This works for any kind of ensemble. Whether you're playing classical music, if you have a brass group, if you're playing weddings, if you want to play private parties, if you want to play corporate events, if you want to play festivals, if you want to tour, play performing arts centers, things like
Yeah.
that. This goes hand in hand with that, and I know a lot of our members here do play in these types of ensembles: horn bands, rock bands, pop bands, jazz bands. Doesn't matter. There's a ton of work out there. You just have to know how to approach it, how to market it, and where to look.
All right. So, Filippo, if somebody joins your workshop, how long is the workshop and how long will they see results after joining?
Yeah, the workshop is 3 days long. We do 2 hours session for 3 days each day. And the workshop is, I decided to do this workshop as a condensed version of my full course to make it accessible to as many people as possible. Because obviously, a lot of people don't know me, and you can't really just trust anyone on the internet and go on a full course with anybody. So I figured let's do a condensed version of my big course to give people an idea, but not only an idea, to give people a precise step-by-step plan on what should I do to get more gigs, right? So it is 3 days long. Obviously, how fast it will work for you, it depends on how fast you implement the content of the workshop. It goes without saying. Average, I would say, if someone is serious about implementing the content, if someone is thorough, going through the instructions, you can see some new gigs coming in from between end of month 3 and beginning of month 4. This is, we have data from thousands of students from now. And so this is based on an average of 5 to 6 hours per week of work, meaning working on the steps that we teach, 5 to 6 hours a week. If you follow thoroughly through the process, usually you will start seeing some good gigs coming in between the end of month 3 and the beginning of month 4. The longer answer is it depends on how well you implement it, how fast you implement it, how coachable you are, etc.
Cool. So we know that they'll see results relatively soon from this. They got to roll up their sleeves and do some work. Nothing happens without some kind of action behind it. We know that it works for any style of music. A lot of people play like in cover bands and stuff, but we have a lot of students here also that are involved in original projects as well. Does this kind of, would you say this helps that type of book those types of people as well?
Yeah, definitely. It works for cover bands, but for original bands as well. In fact, usually people who are hungry for more gigs are either people who play original music or some sort of more niche styles of music, such as jazz, for example. I'm sure your trumpet player students can relate of being a bit niche in what they do.
Yeah.
And acoustic music and any sort of niche, any sort of music which is not labeled as mainstream. I think the system works really well for this style of music. Having said that, the principles we teach are really universal. So it is, we'll talk about it in a moment, I suppose, but it is having a great online presence, then build a following around what you do, and then go and find the right venues for your project.
So, speaking of venues, does this workshop, this course, does it work for small venues if you're going to do like a small, intimate kind of, let's say, Django Reinhardt type of venue, or a big festival date? Does it work for all size venues and events?
We've seen it work for all size venues, leaving out the massive ones. I coach bands to get from where they are to the gigs they want to the bigger venues. I'm not talking about the 100,000 people stadiums. leaving those out, generally speaking, if you do it right, sooner or later you get to those gigs that you want, including bigger venues, thousands of people venues, and the smaller venues. Like personally, I prefer playing more small venues than more big venues. My ideal venue is a 150 people capacity jazz club. That's my favorite gigs. That's the gig I want. So it is really about the gigs that you want and what's best for your style of music. Now, I love the bigger festivals. I recently played a few thousand people festival and obviously love it. But it depends on what you want personally.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to do. And I think it's really important that you said, I mean, basically, nobody starts out at the top. You got to start somewhere and you got to start to build. And there's a lot of pieces to put into place to get this to happen.
And
But
of course, we have, sorry to interrupt, but we give different directions to whether are you experienced, what gigs are you already playing? Okay, let's see how we can get you to the bigger gigs. If you're starting out, we're not going to start with the big gigs. We're going to build it up and teach you how to get the smaller ones and then build it up from there, build credibility, gather more and more promotional material. Obviously, we teach how to gather promotional material in the right way and how to use it.
So for me personally, I really don't feel comfortable promoting and marketing myself. Maybe it's the Canadian in me or something, but would this course work for somebody like me?
Yeah, in fact, people who have the biggest transformation from these events are people who come in saying, I hate social media, I hate promoting myself, I'm very uncomfortable with promoting myself. This is the work that we do, is teach students that it can actually be a sustainable, there's a sustainable way of promoting yourself, and also one that feels enjoyable and authentic. So we're actually seeing a big shift in the industry, and data actually shows it. You can look it up in any industry. That, for example, with advertising, advertising platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, the ads that are performing well, and when I say an ad, it's just a post, isn't it? It's just a post amplified to more people. So posts or ads, the ones that work best nowadays are the ugly ads. Literally people picking up a phone, and I saw one the other day with I don't know how many interactions. It was crazy. It's called this is an ugly ad, and there's a guy in a construction site with his phone like that, super shaky, talking about his program, and that ad has been live for 9 months now. So apparently it's doing really well. So what I'm trying to say is there's a shift in trend, meaning social media is actually rewarding more authentic content, which is really great news for someone who's not comfortable with promoting themselves, thinking, okay, I need to be in front of a camera and pretend I'm somebody else. Or having said that, we'll probably talk about this a bit later, but we actually teach people that you don't need to spend as much time on social media promoting your stuff. Actually, we go other ways, and we try to pull people out of social media, which is sometimes a very disheartening environment. And so we actually try to teach other principles first.
so what about for old guys like us that might not be tech savvy? I mean, that's one thing that's been a little challenging for me at times. Will people be able to implement these kind of strategies and figure out the tech, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, tech-wise, there's not a lot to learn. Obviously, you need to know a little bit. Obviously, it is we are in tech era, and so that's the way it's done. So you need to know how to use a computer. You need to know the basics of social media and if you don't know what going live on social media means, then there's probably things you should learn. The biggest issue we actually see is with building websites. That's the difficult part. We teach that you do need a website, contrary to what many other people say, and landing pages to capture the email addresses, for example. That's the number one challenge that we see that some people struggle with, building a website or things like that. But that's actually why we offer that as a service. We have a bigger program that people can jump on if they want to work with us more closely after the workshop. That's one of the things we offer. We have a team that builds your website because I know how challenging it can be. That one thing is probably the only thing that could feel a bit challenging for a musician who is not savvy how to build a website. Other than that, there's really not much else.
Well, I
Yeah.
have another question about just administration and social media and stuff. If I hate doing that kind of stuff, keeping books and putting out daily posts and the things that I understand are necessary for growing an online business. Are there ways of working through that? And would this course be right for me, for somebody that really doesn't like doing that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there is some social media posting involved, obviously. Not as much as people think. We don't need 1 million followers on Instagram to be successful. In fact, I think I've got 3,000. It's really not a big number. My Facebook profile was hacked last year, and I lost all of my followers on there, and my career didn't suffer from it as a single bit. So obviously, social media growth will be a byproduct of the strategy. But we mainly focus on creating your own community within a mailing list environment, actually. And so, yes, there will be some social media involved, and we teach how to make it sustainable and more organized. Usually, with the overwhelming part is, I need to promote a gig. How many posts and when and what to post? That has to be done. We teach content batching, which is a way to organize your workflow that actually makes it super easy. But apart from that, there's not much social media involved. I suppose compared to what most people think, I tend to stay away from social media as much as I can. Although, you'll see my social media profiles, I post, don't get me wrong, but I'm not obsessing over it.
So let's get into the heart of the matter here. Let's just talk about this upcoming workshop that you have. It's a 3-day event, and tell us a little bit about that. And are people are going to be able to walk away with that with some actionable items? How's that going to work? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the workshop, as I said, is a 3-day experience, 2 hours each day. And what people are going to walk away with is, for me, the two main things are a step-by-step action plan, which is, in my opinion, super valuable because, the feedback I get from a lot of people before they jump on the workshop is, I kind of know what needs to be done by gut feel, but it just feels too overwhelming. I don't know where to start. So that's a very good thing that you walk away with is, okay, I know there's work to do, but I literally have a step by step. All I have to do is go through the list. It's a big list, but you can just check it, do one thing, check it. It just feels good as well, right? So that's one thing that's one very valuable thing that people walk away with is, okay, I know what to do exactly and when and how and what's next. The second thing is, if there's one thing that I want to give people from this workshop is breaking the limiting beliefs that it is possible to have a very profitable career as an artist. For me, that's the main takeaway. The transformation that we want to give to people and to our fellow musicians is how important music is for the world. And as we always say, music is more ancient than fire. Think about that. So we're not here doing small things. It is actually way bigger than people think. It is in our innate desire to make music, and it is a need. And people need music, whether they know it or not. And so the breaking the limiting belief that this is not a real job and it is not possible to make good money from it. In fact, there's no excuse almost because we have all the tools. Back in the day, you had to rely on a label or on a management agency or on some sort of help or maybe a mentor or maybe sorry, not a mentor, what's the word for
Oh,
like an art,
benefactor.
An
a
agent
benefactor.
or
Yeah, the
benefactor.
benefactor, that's the word, yeah. So whereas nowadays you don't really have any excuse because you actually can do it all. You don't need a label. In fact, please don't sign up with a label, you know?
Yeah, by the time you sign up for a label, you're making more money than what they would offer you already, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so that's yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, that's that, and you're exactly right. I mean, music is needed, and I think the other thing that, and maybe this isn't just a trumpet related thing, but I think a lot of my trumpet player friends have told me it just seems like nobody cares about music anymore, live music, or there's a lot of things that people read on the net, and yeah, there's like electronic things happening, and there's AI going on, and there's a lot of things going on in the world, and the world is changing.
Well, even more so, it's our responsibility to keep it going. I was listening to a recording of Nature Boy by Joe Pass and Ella this morning actually, and man, I was blown away and thinking, I was moved from that track. I closed my eyes, listened to it. It's 2.5 minutes. I was so moved, and I was thinking about this very same thing. I was thinking, it is almost my responsibility to play jazz, even for the 80 people in my town who want to hear it, because real music like that, and I don't want to sound old, but it is just facts, like real music like that it's our responsibility to keep it alive. There's nothing else that will give you that feeling, and why would the world want to lose it?
Yeah, I totally agree. And then when you start playing it, when you start getting it out there, it starts to snowball little by little. The snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's amazing how, like, I have a Latin jazz thing that I do. That's kind of my specialty. And it's amazing because our audience has kept growing over the years. And I get people that are from the jazz world. We had some concerts in Europe this year, and we had some concerts in our area here in the Northwest this year. And I noticed there was a whole bunch of young people that came out that were non Latin fans, non jazz fans, and they were kind of more into this as kind of a cultural event. And they left, and they were like, "Wow, this was really really amazing. I can't wait to get out and see more of this kind of music." And not only for yourself, but for other people in your community, in your niche. It helps open doors, and it helps introduce audiences to this great kind of music that you guys are playing.
Definitely, definitely. And that brings me to another question that I often get that might be relevant to your audience is, am I too old to do this? Right? And
Yeah.
so it makes me laugh in a good way, without making fun of anybody. But if anything, you should even have more credibility if because of your age.
I think
I
you're
think the
right.
only
More life experiences and more to share, right?
Yeah, it depends what you think of yourself, and that transpires, obviously. But there are musicians who are killing it and that are quite old, old, objectively speaking, but they don't, obviously they're not old they're probably still like kids in their head. But like we all are, I feel like musicians are like that.
I
But
think
if anything, the age should give you more credibility if you know how to um, present your act and your music.
Yeah, I think music is one of the few things where we can have sustained longevity, for a long time. I mean, it's like sports stars, you're 30 years old and you're about done if you're playing, soccer or whatever the sport might be, right? You go into announcing and whatever after that. But musicians, you can hang in there for a long time, and hopefully, if you're doing it right, you're getting better, you're getting more experience, and it's coming out in your music as well.
For me, like the big inspiration has been my grandfather. Until the very end, he was a professional viola player. And until the very end, he was giving piano lessons. He was there with his head. He would remember who my friends were, where I lived, everything about me, my latest album, everything. And the only thing, he got a tiny bit deaf by the end, but that was really his only issue. And he died at home with his wife, no nurse, no one, and he was 104. And we would eat together, and he would like tap his finger on the table and pretend he's playing something, and that for me, even just that is worth dedicating your life to music. There's nothing like it.
And
Paul,
when
we
they
have
say music is an international language, it's also an intergenerational language too. Currently the tour that I'm on, I have some 20 somethings, I have some 30 somethings, some 40s, and then there's me. and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. We're all playing the same music and we're all enjoying
And you're all friends, I imagine.
we're all friends and we're all making good music together. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter that I'm 4 decades older than the youngest person.
Yeah.
we have a quote by Pablo Casals, the great cellist, and I don't remember how old he was. He was around 90, and he was still practicing. And somebody was asking him, "Why do you continue to practice?" And he says, "Because I think I'm getting better."
Yeah. That's
And
true.
it's something. It's great for your mind. All this stuff. It's great for the community. All those things. So let's talk about how to get involved in the workshop. Let's tell everybody where they can sign up, or they can check it out, get some information about it, because this is really, and I took this personally. I loved it, and I thought it, just like you said, there's some actionable items to walk away from. There's a lot of great stuff in there. It's not like some kind of BS type of presentation. There's a lot of great content in here.
Yeah, so we run these workshops quite regularly. So there will be a link where you can just check the dates on that link. And depending on when you visit it, you might be able to get it for $27, which is the price that we have at the moment. Sometimes we change the price a bit, but it's always also going to be very affordable. And that's it, really. We do it at a low price to make it as accessible as possible. And also, it is in case people want to continue with us, then obviously there is an option to continue with us to do a more in-depth course. That obviously, we do tell people about at the very end of the workshop. There is an offer, right? I disclose that at the very beginning of the workshop. The first thing I say is, raise your hand if you've been to one of those workshops where the whole agenda of the host was just to sell you a course. Everybody says yes. And I said, I want you to know this is not one of that. My hope is to give you so much value during these 3 days that hopefully you will want to continue working with us. But regardless of whether people continue with us or not, the idea with this workshop is to give people so much that they feel like, I can't believe I got all of this for $27.
So Filippo, how can you join this workshop and learn more about it?
So there will be a link. In this link, you'll find the dates that we have for the next workshop. So all the information will be on the page. Normally these workshops are $197, but for you guys, for a limited time, it is $27 only.
Wow.
Go and check the link, and you will see when that expires. You'll find all the information on there. But we do it so that we can help as many people as possible, and get as many musicians on board with this message, and trying to help as many people as possible.
That is an insane value. I mean, even at $197 for what you would get out of this would be worth it. But $27 is that's like nothing. So I couldn't recommend this higher. It's ridiculous.
And thank you for offering this amazing deal as well to
Thank you for having me.
to our listeners and our watchers.
Now, everybody, go take advantage of this now. Go out and get yourself some gigs. You heard it here first. Thanks.
Thank you.